Hello and welcome to the Blood Red Morning Bulletin. I'm James Martin and I'm joined today by Emmet Gates. Obviously, not necessarily the yesterday we wanted, the finale we wanted, Emmet, but plenty to be happy about. Another remarkable Premier League season, another 90 plus points tally, 2 trophies already in the bag, and the big one up for grabs next weekend. So we're not going to spend time dwelling on just missing out on the Premier League. Instead, we're going to focus on the scenes at the end of the game when Liverpool and Anfield said goodbye to a certain Divock Origi, Liverpool legend, Liverpool cult hero. We've had the discussion on Liverpool.com, but I'll throw it over to you, Emmett. Where do you see Divock Origi fitting in the picture of Klopp's time at the club?
Um, well, it's a funny one because obviously we had this debate off air a couple of days ago whether he's a legend or a cult hero. I kind of put him into the cult hero category, but I mean, Jurgen Klopp himself defines him as a legend. So who am I to argue with with Jurgen? So maybe he is a legend. But I mean, the thing with Origi is that I can't remember the last time someone made such an impact by playing so little minutes. I mean, you think just take this season for example. He's played less than 600 minutes across the entire campaign, but when he's played, he's either scored or provided an assist. Like it's extraordinary just how much he's done with so little playing time. Like it is really it's marvelous, and I think it speaks. And Jurgen Klopp has said this before. It speaks to the wealth of depth that he has now in attacking positions that Origi, who he says is the best finisher at the club, can only get like 600 minutes of football across the entire campaign. And this is Liverpool competing on 4 fronts. So you would think rotation obviously is the key, and he would get more game time as a result of that, but he hasn't, just because the depth is so strong and he just didn't get playing time. But yeah, like he makes such an impact with the little that he's given. It really is. It's extraordinary.
And the strange thing, really, is that even when the depth has not been quite so spectacular, which has certainly been true at various points in Klopp's tenure, there's only really been one fairly brief period where Origi has been the sort of regular starter. It's not often been the case. Like you say, he has sort of built up this reputation purely as this kind of impact player. You'll almost forget he's there, and then he'll turn up and do something magical. It'll be interesting to see if he is off to Milan, which is what looks likely at this stage, how he gets on with perhaps a more regular role. Of course, everyone wishes him well, but instead of looking forward, I think we're going to be looking back for most of this stream in terms of the best Origi moments. There's certainly a wide array. He was presented with some pictures of some of his most iconic moments after the game yesterday, which was a nice touch. Again, it shows, like you say, how remarkable an impact this sort of fringe player has had. But he gets a guard of honor, he gets this big presentation. We saw it with Wijnaldum, a similar kind of presentation. And in fact, Wijnaldum shared some iconic moments in one particular game we might be talking about in respect of Origi. Of course, that's the Barcelona one, but I'll throw that over to you now. What do you have as maybe like the crowning Origi moment?
Well, I think it has to be that game, doesn't it? I mean, that is probably the game that will define, his Liverpool legacy. Is that game, the 4-0 when he scored twice? I mean, it's like we go back to this, like for a player who plays so little and yet his most defining moment, or two defining moments, maybe we'll say, is the 2 goals against Barcelona in the Champions League semi-final, and then is the clincher really against Tottenham in the final. And for a player that plays so little, he always came up with moments in big games. I mean, he wasn't reduced to just Carabao Cup or early FA Cup fodder. When Klopp called upon him in the big games, he generally did deliver. And I think you always have to go back to that Barcelona game, the 2 goals, and especially even like the second goal, that finish from the corner. Like a lot of players would have sent that over the bar, because it was whipped in at pace, but he just got the right amount of cushion on it and curl, and it just flew into the top corner. You've seen a lot of times in that situation where corners kind of pull back. and whoever's on the receiving end just skies it. Like, it just, there's too much pace and it flies over the bar. Whereas Origi put it in the top corner to see Liverpool's entry into the final. Like, you couldn't make it up. But as Klopp said, he believes Origi has been the best finisher at the club. But it's obviously maybe just his overall contribution that Klopp, kind of finds, yeah, I can't use him that often. But yeah, I think he'll always be defined by the Barcelona game. That is his game. I think it's difficult to look beyond that. And I mean, to be fair, what a game to be defined by. Many a player would love to be defined by a game like that.
Absolutely. Although, if we're talking about fixtures that define him, I think
Yeah.
Everton would be right up on the list. And Klopp has confirmed that the injury that kept Origi out of the last Premier League game of the season will also keep him out of the Champions League final. So no more Champions League heroics. But I think it's probably fitting, isn't it, that his last great contribution did come against Everton.
Yeah, I mean, he punished them so many times, during his time at the club, and like in the last one, which will be his last game, and his last goal. I mean, Liverpool were struggling until he came on, and he did change the game. He offers something, so I wouldn't say unique, but just something different to what Liverpool have. And then, looking to the future, it's going to be hard for Klopp to find a replacement for Origi in terms of someone who doesn't play much but is happy with the time that he gets, and then to come on and make an impact in such a short space of time. He is not going to be easy to replace. And so we saw that against Everton, and it was kind of fitting that it is his last game, because Liverpool were struggling and he came on, he provided one, scored the other, and Everton seemed to be his favourite victim throughout his time in Anfield, and it's kind of fitting that was his last game.
Yeah, it's a curious one, because in some ways you'd say he gets up to the pace of the game very quickly off the bench, but in some ways you'd say he doesn't really need to get up to the pace of the game, because he, like you say, it's almost unique, certainly within the Liverpool team. He's always been a bit of a square peg in a round hole, but yet Klopp has found this kind of very niche role for him, one that has maybe made him so effective off the bench. The fact that he sort of can be himself. He's never really been sort of shoehorned into one of the Liverpool front three roles, if you like. Because I mean, occasionally he's played wide, hasn't he? Because Klopp likes his versatile forwards, and that's never looked quite right. And as the number 9, certainly when Firmino was the main holder of that shirt, it's a bit like, does he offer the off the ball work, the pressing? Perhaps not. So it is that kind of almost a plan B, if you like. And like you say, it may be that Liverpool look in the summer and think, we need to replace that. Do you think there will be replacements, or do you think the replacements are sort of already in the squad?
I think, yeah, the replacements are kind of already in the squad. But in saying that, Origi, he is unique. Whenever you just think about the situation, you just think, here is a player who makes a difference, doesn't kick up a fuss about not playing, is happy to be around the club, and somehow always delivers. Even if you give him 10 minutes, he will do something that can change the game. So I think even if Klopp maybe wanted to bring in an Origi replacement, it is going to be very hard to find with the quality that he has. And, to show it in the little amount of time that whoever comes in to replace him will get, because you would imagine that whoever Liverpool try to bring in will play the same amount, they'll receive the same amount of minutes, which is not a lot, really. So I think it's going to be a hard one, and I don't think it's going to be easy for Klopp to replace. So I think maybe he'll just go, no, like, Origi has been unique. He can't be replaced, and I mean, we said this many times before. The sheer depth now that Liverpool have, with Diaz coming in, although we still don't know about Firmino and what will happen in the summer. But yeah, I don't think Origi can be replaced, to be honest. I really don't. In terms of that striker who makes an impact but is happy with the game time he gets, he can't be replaced.
Yeah, I mean, who else is going to rush the ball back to the centre circle after scoring a late winner? Only Origi, I think. We'll almost wrap up, but as I've got you on, I know you like your Serie A, so I'll just ask quickly, if it is Milan as expected, how do you see Origi getting on there?
I actually think he'll do pretty well. I think the reason why he's brought in is because Zlatan is 40 now, and he may retire at the end of the season. Obviously, with Milan winning the Scudetto yesterday, I think his job is pretty much done. Giroud has been pretty good for Milan. He's been a bit of a clutch player, but obviously, again, he's 35. They need someone who's young and has experience, and Origi kind of ticks both boxes. And I think the way Milan play, it's pretty much just set up for, a central striker like Origi, not to do too much work outside of the box the way Klopp likes his forwards to do, but basically just to be on the end of service. And who better than Origi? You'd imagine you could easily see him getting in double figures if he plays week in and week out at San Siro. So I think it actually will be a very good move for him. And he's 27, but he's plenty of experience, which is what Milan needs. So I actually think it's a really good fit. And I think he'll do well.
Well, I'm sure Milan will have a few more viewers from Liverpool in the next season cheering on Origi. But for now, we'll just look back on an almost unbelievable amount of amazing Liverpool moments for, like we say, such a fringe player to have so many indelible moments is credit to him. And it will never be forgotten. Cult hero, legend, call him what you want. He certainly produced some legendary moments. And I think we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back with another morning stream tomorrow. And in the meantime, sure to check out all of our written content on liverpool.com and all of our other Blood Red content on YouTube. Thanks a lot.